Sixth-generation fighter jets have started to take charge of the skies, becoming dominant forces in modern aerial combat. While countries like the United States, China, and Russia have led the sixth-generation stealth fighter jet program for a long time, India has come onto the scene, barging in with their very first cutting-edge sixth-generation fighter jet. What impact does this recent development have on the global aerial threat? Could this cutting-edge tech mark the beginning of India's aerial dominance? Join us as we unveil the details behind India's first sixth-generation fighter jet. Aerial technology has always been the most important part of warfare, especially since the Great War in the early 1920s. For decades, the United States and countries like China and Russia have effortlessly dominated the skies with their fifth-generation stealth fighter jets, including aerial marvels like the F-22 Raptors and, more recently, the F-35 Lightning II, with their superior avionics, supersonic speed, and ability to carry serious firepower that are capable of winning wars with little to no losses from the protagonists wielding these aerial beasts. While other countries struggle intensely to keep up with the new demands of aerial warfare and are actively looking to manufacture or buy from the United States, with fears of falling behind in the pecking order, making them easy pickings, the world once again seems to have moved on to even greater aerial technological advancements that could swing the pendulum of power in the favor of nations that possess it. Sixth-generation fighter jets. While the fifth-generation jets provided aerial superiority and struck fear in the opposition's territories, the sixth generation is a completely different beast, and India is now in the mix, looking to produce the most devastating aerial weapon the world has ever seen. But what exactly differentiates the fifth-generation fighter jets from these sixth-generation monsters? As with the previous generation, the sixth-generation fighter jets will also share some of their capabilities, but completely improved and game-changing. These new fighter jet concepts will incorporate the use of onboard electronics or avionics and weapon systems that can be discharged, whether they are manned or unmanned. While rumors abound about the sixth-generation fighter jets having some serious upturn in speed or flight performance, those are completely wide of the mark. The sixth generation will instead focus on elevating stealth technology in such a way that they are almost completely undetected by radar, infrared, or any other type of anti-access aerial denial technology, commonly in use throughout all of Europe and the Indo-Pacific regions in recent times. But exactly how will this new generation of fighter jets evolve stealth? For fighter jets, stealth mode is made possible using various mechanisms. However, the most reliable one has always been in the designs of the jets. The airframes are often characterized by a diamond-like or modified delta diamond structure. These structures are deliberately configured to have canted vertical tails to minimize radar cross-section, making them nigh undetectable, almost like flying under the radar. While the tailless and diamond-like shaped versions of fighter jets are useful for stealth, thermal detection also carries a huge weight when trying to shield an aircraft from possible detection. Hence, to avoid leaving traceable heat signatures, fuel and ordnance were given a place inside the aircraft rather than the traditional jets that carry them on the outside, making them easily detected on thermal radars in the air. However, with the sixth-generation jets, there is a likelihood that vertical tails are completely removed and the aircraft are redesigned to look even smaller and almost invisible while coating their airframes with next-generation materials that help them control aerodynamic heating at hypersonic velocity, which is well beyond Mach 6. While a complete tail removal is being heavily considered, questions linger on how the fighter jets are supposed to control roll, pitch, and yaw when the tail is completely removed. Maneuvering fighter jets requires a level of control in flight and directional stability, all of which are conventionally produced by the tails on the fighter jets. Talking about yaw, pitch, and roll, the elevator, a right-sided rear tail, controls the pitch, meaning the up and down direction of any aircraft, while the rudder, which is mostly located at the rear top of an aircraft, controls the yaw, which is the side-to-side movement of an aircraft, and the ailerons, which are on the top side of a conventional jet, control the tilting motion of the aircraft about its longitudinal axis. This means the aircraft is rocking or banking, with one wingtip going up while the other goes down. However, with stealth being the most important facet of the game, Sixth-generation jets are expected to create fighter jets without all types of conventional tails and instead rely on thrust vectoring to achieve yaw, pitch, and roll. While the conventional aerodynamic controls like ailerons, elevators, and rudders generate forces and moments for maneuvering, thrust vectoring directs the engine's thrust to create the required moments for yaw, pitch, and roll. Without the vertical tail, the thrust generates a yawing movement by tilting the engine's nozzles to one side, effectively turning the aircraft in the pilot's required direction. Furthermore, roll is achieved by directing thrust from one engine in a specific direction while the other engine maintains its original trajectory, creating the rolling moment. However, thrust control for pitching movement is so much easier, with the thrust tilting the nozzles up and down, allowing the aircraft to adjust its altitude. Although the fifth-generation fighter jets have given thrust control a try, they have not been able to completely get rid of the conventional aerodynamic controls on yaw, pitch, and roll. Hence, the reason they keep the tails on the aircraft. For example, the F-35 Lightning II, which is often regarded as the leading light of fifth-generation fighter jets, utilizes a combination of conventional aerodynamics and thrust vectoring for control of yaw, pitch, and roll. Although it consistently uses its rudder, vertical tails, and flaperons for altitude, side-to-side and up-and-down controls, the jet also uses thrust vectoring when it switches to hover mode while performing intelligence, surveillance, or reconnaissance missions. However, the sixth generation is a game-changer, and India has come barging in with the release of their own sixth-generation stealth fighter as they look to counter the aerial dominant threat of not only the United States but also the People's Republic of China, who have been in a military standoff with India because of their disputed border in the Himalayan region. While both countries have cautiously avoided a full-scale war, the rumor is that both nations can tell that they are capable of providing mutually assured destruction owing to their military might. While China has often flexed their military accomplishments with recent prototypes of a possible sixth-generation fighter jet parading the skies in an untold warning to enemy combatants who dare to dream of an aerial confrontation, however, India has responded, and really loudly, with the revelation of a sixth-generation aerial monster in the works, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, otherwise called the AMCA. India, often regarded as a technological hub, has ironically often lagged behind the United States and China when it comes to weapons design and aerial warfare. However, the times have changed, and they are now actively pursuing a sixth-generation jet that elevates their status among top countries like the United States, Russia, and China. Having recognized just how far behind they were in warfare, especially aerially, they made an effort to step it up. For some context, they reached a breakthrough on the 13th of April, 2025, when Dr. Samir Venkatapathy Kamat, chairman of the Defense Research and Development Organization, addressed a gathering in the beautiful city of Kurnool, Andhra Pradesh, calling their attention to a live demonstration of a powerful 30-kilowatt laser weapon system capable of destroying enemy aircraft missiles and swarms of drones in midair. This time, India has actually created a weapon system capable of going toe-to-toe with the weapons from the superpower countries. However, Dr. Samir Venkatapathy was not done yet, as he took the opportunity to explore the roadmap for the building and release of the sixth-generation Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, which is going to be the country's first fifth-generation and sixth-generation fighter jet, rolled into one massive aerial monster, revealing just how ambitious India's sudden dedication to the production of weapons of mass destruction is, in a bid to not only defend their country from all types of forceful foreign influence, but also take that step forward to go into weaponry. Dr. Kamat explained how difficult it was to produce a fighter jet from scratch to perfection, claiming that it takes around 10 to 15 years in any part of the world. However, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft had only just gotten its green light for production in 2024, meaning that its closest production will be around 2035. While the excited crowd roars in approval and pride in their country's creation, Dr. Kamat hints about the type of engine the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft will possess, explaining further that the engine gives the aircraft a completely different orientation as a sixth-generation fighter jet, unlike its initial design as purely fifth-generation. But what makes this proposition of a sixth-generation engine in aircraft so important and exciting for Indians? Although a further generation of any product or design is referred to as an upgrade, the sixth-generation fighter jets, especially India's advanced medium combat aircraft, are much more than an upgrade. They are a completely different level. While some fifth-generation aircraft have often flirted with the idea of engines capable of reaching hypersonic speed without combining turbojet and scramjet engines in artificial intelligence-driven combat, not many have succeeded. Hence the birth of the sixth-generation aircraft. According to Dr. Kamat, India's sixth-generation fighter jet Marvel will have all the capabilities of sixth-generation aerial weapons, including having hypersonic speed, which will be made possible with a new engine design that currently isn't in existence. As many have tried, have failed to create an engine that goes from 0 speed to Mach 6, almost at the turn of a dial, or shifting gears like in cars. Also, this jet would comprise artificial intelligence smart enough to handle combat. This artificial intelligence is projected to provide support for the pilots, responding to threats quickly, making split-second decisions, and even handling some tasks like refueling, with little to no input from the pilot. While it sounds a lot like a Marvel science fiction, Dr. Kamat has hinted at a superjet becoming the magic bullet for war. Furthermore, this fighter jet is projected to have total connectivity, meaning that it could function as some sort of aerial command base, flying at undetectable altitude while acting like a command hub in the sky, where the pilot commands or coordinates drone swarms or even laser weapons, practically raining down fire on the opposition. However, one of this aircraft's greatest strengths lies in its weapon systems, especially its incorporation of laser and microwave weapons. While most countries seem light years away from incorporating directed energy weapons, or DEWs in popular parlance, India's sixth generation will definitely be incorporating this cutting-edge weapons design, which they unveiled on the 13th of April, 2025. These weapons are ranged weapons of destruction that damage their target with highly focused energy without a solid projectile, including lasers, microwaves, particle beams, and sound beams. Potential applications of this technology include weapons that target personnel, missiles, vehicles, and optical devices. While warfare has always comprised tactics and weaponry, the continuous loss of human lives continues to take a heavy toll on the nations at arms. Hence, the improved fighter jet technology has factored in manned and unmanned aircraft. Think of a fighter jet capable of being piloted remotely from an airbase in its host country and wreaking havoc without being manned by a physical pilot. Since time immemorial, pilots have often been shot out of the sky, leading to fatal injuries. But a sixth-generation jet, capable of traveling further distances than its predecessors without being manned by a pilot, can completely revolutionize aerial warfare. While futuristic weapons like direct energy weapons have often been dubbed as later-generation creations, Russia, China, and India play directly into Dr. Kamat's quotes about six generations being not only fast and quiet, but also intelligent, self-sufficient, and deadly. Although India has openly challenged the status quo, barging into the top circles with their advanced medium combat aircraft, just how have they been overcoming challenges at the design and development stage? The design work for the advanced medium combat aircraft, which was initially pitched as a sixth-generation stealth fighter jet, was completed in 2023 and approved for prototype development in 2024, after a $1.8 billion in funding was approved. However, since Dr. Kamat's recent revelation at Andhra Pradesh, many have speculated that this originally platformed fifth-generation fighter jet might be carrying an engine suitable for a sixth-generation manned or unmanned combat aerial vehicle, making it a complete anomaly and game-changer when compared to other types of fighter jets produced in the last 5 years. Could India really be taking over the skies? And if they haven't just yet, how close are they to a breakthrough that swings military air power their way? Like every aerial vehicle, the success of India's sixth-generation stealth fighter jet also hinges heavily on the engines. Hence, since 2014, the Aeronautical Development Agency had planned to issue an official proposal to 6 original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs, as they are often called. The engine requirement was 105 kilonewton thrust engines against its maximum takeoff weight of approximately 24.2 tons, which is the heaviest the aircraft can be during takeoff. Why exactly is the specificity on the burners required? For a sixth-generation aircraft, the thrust-to-weight ratio is so important because of its airframe design, which has been shaped to achieve stealth but is heavily compensated for by the lift, especially with heavy electronics and avionics like sensors or direct energy weapons like lasers. Therefore, having a higher thrust-to-weight ratio helps to allow better acceleration, makes tighter turns easier, and gives it a superfluous advantage in case of a dogfight while trailing difficult airspaces. Having decided on the specifications of their engines, India is to jointly develop the engine for their aircraft with the help of foreign partners who have a reputation for their know-how when it comes to building engines. So they decided to use the Kaveri engine development program, but that didn't work. While that might have discouraged a different nation, India had made up their mind to be at the forefront of this warfare. So in 2023, Dr. Samir Kamat reached out to the United States, seeking permits for General Electric, an aerospace company in America, to join the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited in producing the sixth-generation engine for their aircraft. However, not many around the world saw the potential of this Indian aircraft until General Electric joined and suddenly ignited an interest in other companies, including the United Kingdom origin Rolls-Royce and French origin Safran. Both companies, as of September 2024, have offered India 100% ownership of the intellectual property of engine design. While both companies struggle to be in the mix, their countries have also given them clearance to develop these engines. While both countries offer India a good deal, the Indian government has now advanced talks with Safran, the French company, which offers them a more respectable deal. However, Rolls-Royce Holdings, which was in talks with India, wanted to co-develop and co-own the engines, basically asking to own a share in India's brainchild. However, India seems more ready to deal with the French company, which seemed to have respected their wishes. India's dreams extend far beyond the present as they look to create fighter jets that stand the test of time and retain their relevance in the future. In an interview with the then Air Force Chief Rakesh Kumar Singh Bhadaria in 2020, he stated clearly that the planning process was already underway, with the advanced medium combat aircraft poised to have optionally manned sixth-generation technological advancements, including the smart wingman concept, swarm drones, long and persistent HALE, otherwise called the high-altitude long endurance, platforms and hypersonic weapons, among a host of other features. While the manned and unmanned options are a part of their considerations, the cockpit is designed to be made of glass, which will be equipped with a panoramic touchscreen display for enhanced man-to-machine interaction, especially if it is manned by a pilot. The cockpit design is also described as having a portrait orientation and a wide-angle holographic head-up display, popularly called an HUD, that presents the data of the pilot's surroundings on the screen without having to look back. More importantly, flying the aircraft has been made absolutely easier by incorporating HOTAS, otherwise called a hands-on throttle and stick, placing buttons and switches on the throttle lever and flight control stick in an aircraft cockpit. By adopting such an arrangement, pilots are capable of performing all vital functions, including the yaw, pitch, and roll maneuver, as well as simply just flying the aircraft without having to remove their hands from the controls. While this Indian aircraft is designed primarily for stealth, it can also take on a strike mission, making it a multi-purpose aircraft and giving direct competition to already grounded aircraft, the F-22 Raptors and the F-35 Lightning II. The advanced medium combat aircraft, powered by two afterburning engines, features an incredible internal weapons bay where missiles and precision-guided munitions are stored, especially when performing stealth missions. However, when the aircraft is switched to full-on strike mode, it is created to have external hardpoints for carrying ordnance as heavy as the BrahMos NG supersonic cruise missile, the Rudram-1 anti-radiation missile, and various Spice 2000 precision-guided bombs. The latter weapons are severely important for missions, which the protagonist does not mind being seen coming. Like Dr. Kamat hinted, building the advanced medium combat aircraft is more than just a show of strength. It's more about building India's future defense ecosystem and not getting left behind when sixth-generation fighter jets completely take over. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.